Welcome to a Gallop TV selection show. Racing takes place at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Saturday, the 31st of December 2022. And we do race on the summer course and looking forward to the 8 races on the program. It is the last race meeting of the calendar year here in South Africa. So we're looking forward to this meeting, and I'm sure that the pools should be good ones to play into. Graham, good to be speaking to you once again. How are you doing? How's everything going down in Cape Town?
All's good, thank you, Rahil. The weather is perfect. We've got hot weather promised over the weekend, and so all signs point to a great day's racing at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on the last day of the year. But it's some tough, challenging racing. That's what we can look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And just speaking to you off air, you did mention that the card is a bit tricky, and it does look to be that way. So perhaps the exotics could certainly pay well. Now, race number 1, the start of the bipod over 1,200 meters, and this is a maiden plate where your favorite is horse number 12, the Wolf of Wolseley. And this individual is having his first run for Glenn Cotton, formerly with Paul Peter up in the Highveld, and has had 3 starts to date. Last start was his best run behind Without Equal, but he does return off a rest, so that has to be the concern. Match fitness, whereas he's taking horses that a couple first timers in the lineup, and some horses that don't represent the strongest of form. If he's fit enough to do himself justice, is he the one to beat, Graham?
Very, very tough start to the bipod, Rahil. As you've mentioned, the form horse is number 9, Simply Beautiful, who's been priced up at 9-2, but he's well exposed, having had 10 starts already. So you've mentioned number 12, the Wolf of Wolseley. First run since June. He clearly has ability. He's been gelded in the interim. His trainers suggest that he might need further, if you look at the trainers' comments, and that seems to be the case also when you consider that his best run was over 1,400 meters. But this is not a very deep race. It's complicated by the presence of a couple of first-timers, as you've mentioned. Number 1, USA's Hope, has also been gelded. His last race was in July, and his debut was promising. He then ran in the sales feature race from the worst of the draws over 1,300 meters at Hollywoodbets Greyville. So I think you could draw a line through that run. The jockey booking is significant. Richard Faree rides. Keegan DeMello is suspended, so he doesn't ride USA's Hope. But Dean Catamar has certainly found a top jockey in the form of Richard Faree, despite the fact that his comment says we'll need the run. So I'm a little confused, but I would suggest that USA's Hope has to go into the play, as does number 12, the Wolf of Wolseley. Just for safety's sake, number 9, Simply Beautiful. I don't think you can leave it out, even though I'd be surprised if he won it because he's well and truly exposed. But then there are 2 first-timers that I think we need to consider. Number 3, Final Edition for the Hollywood Syndicate, a 3-year-old son of Dynasty for the Brett Crawford stable, and also number 5, Oliver from the Adam Marcus stable. So I'm going to play this very wide in the first leg of the bipod. I'm going all of numbers 1, 3, 5, 9, and 12. I'm not taking any chances in the opening leg of the bipod because I simply don't trust the favourite. Not the favourite. The second favourite is best in on form, number 9, Simply Beautiful. But there's too many imponderables, too many unknowns here, so I'm going wide.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look to be a tricky start. And number 5, Oliver, perhaps some value from the first timers at 14-1 in the market. If he's not just looking for further and not just needing the run, he could give a good account of himself from the Adam Marcus yard. But a tricky start to the bipod, and perhaps you want to go a few horses unless you're quite strong on a certain individual in race number 1. Now we're going to move along to race number 2 on the program, which is set to be run over the 1,200 meter trip. This is a maiden plate for the fillies and mares, and the Mike de Kock runner, Sharapova, 3-year-old daughter of Karari. She's the horse that is the one that I make that they all have to beat. Are you in agreement with that, Graham? Sharapova, the one to beat. She's the even money favorite at the current point in time.
Yeah, and she was priced up 2-1, so they've wasted no time in climbing into the 3-year-old daughter of Karari. She's been well backed in the anti-post market. She's been placed second in both her starts. She's had the one run down in Cape Town, so she'll be all the better for it. So if you're going wide in the opening leg of the bipod, as we've suggested, then perhaps number 8, Sharapova, in leg 2 is the banker. 9, Alendi has been very, very difficult and frustrating to follow, but I like the fact that she steps back to the 1,200 meters. That could be the right move, but she's been very expensive to follow. Number 12, On Board, has got plenty of scope for improvement, but should be held by Sharapova. Helen's Legacy could fill one of the minor placings. 2 first-timers to watch out for. Number 1, Gold for Africa from the Glen Cotson stable is 16 to 1, but his comments in the computer form are very positive. He's expecting this 3-year-old daughter of Gold Standard to be very competitive, so you've got to put it into your play as far as trifectas and quartets are concerned. And also, again, Adam Marcus quite likes number 2, You Win Again, to run a progressive race. It could fill one of the back end of trifecta quartet places. But, like you, going wide in the opening leg of the bipot, and putting all my hopes with number 8, Sharapova, as a banker in the second leg of the bipod.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all in here with number 8, Sharapova, and hopefully the Mike de Kock charge with Bernard Fade Herb aboard can get the job done. And as Graham mentioned, number 1, Gold for Africa, 20 to 1 in the market now, and number 2, You Win Again at 25 to 1. 2 first-timers to keep a close eye on in race number 2, the start of the place accumulator. We're going to move along to race number 3, which is the start of the Pick 6. And hopefully we get to a sizable pool in that Pick 6 on Saturday. This is a maiden plate over 1,600 meters. Need to get involved in those bets by 2 o'clock on the afternoon. And race number 3, horse number 12, Selukwi, is at 4 to 1 in the market. It's 9 to 2 about Montine. Stratospheric, 11 to 2 along with Contiguous. And then it's 6 to 1 and better bar those. Now, horse number 1, Montine, he looks to be a horse that could get his fair share of winners from the Pete Porter yard. He's drawn in gate number 1, and I think that he's going to have every opportunity to get the job done in this lineup here. So he would be the narrow first choice for me, given that he's got pole position draw, and he's had 2 starts to date, and no doubt that those 2 runs would have brought him on nicely.
Rahil, I'm absolutely in your camp. We were chatting off air, as you mentioned earlier. You can now get 9 to 2 Selukwe, and you can get 11 to 2 Montine. I checked up with the latest betting just before we went on air and recorded the show. It's not often that they bet 9 to 2 the field in a maiden plate. Usually you have 1 or 2 standouts, but there are so many with good form coming into this, the first leg of the Pick 6, a maiden plate over 1,600 meters, that they're betting very wide. I'm going to come back to your comments about Montine in a moment, but all of Montine, Cafe Culture, Stratospheric, Laughing William, Master Josh, Contiguous, Run Rudolph Run, and Selukwe bring pretty useful form into the race. But I'm in your camp. I think Montine, very good value at what is now 5.5 to 1, plays second in both his starts. Jacobs has ridden him on both occasions, knows him well, he's drawn in pole position. So I think he offers some very good each-way value. But it's hard to be absolutely confident that he's going to nail them here because there's a lot of form to go around. But he should appreciate the extra 200 meters. I do make number 1 Montine the one to beat. I think the early weak favourites, Luque's got it all to do from a wide draw. Cafe Culture could improve. Contiguous, 3 seconds in 4 starts. It's an obvious runner. Master Josh, I think, is better than his last run. Laughing William can continue to improve. Stratospheric has got all the form in the world. But yes, I'm in your camp, Montine, but I think it's a bit more complicated than that.
Place accumulator wise, how many numbers would you include?
In the place accumulator, I'd be happy to go with numbers 1 Montine and 8 Contiguous. I think with those 2 in the place accumulator, I think you will be pretty safe.
1 and 8 for Graham, if he were to give you 2 numbers for the place accumulator. And he mentioned Master Josh better than his last out. I thought last time out terribly disappointing. After running in that ready-to-run race behind seeking the one, taking on winners there, I thought he would be a certainty next time out, especially after Galdin, but he found 3 horses too good on the day, and maybe he could just be better second run after Galdin, but we'll see how he does go. Number 7, Master Josh Montine, the one that Graham and myself both like in race number 3. Now we're going to move along to race number 4 on the program, and you need to get those bets on by 2:30 on the afternoon. This is the start of Jackpot 1, 2,000 meters the distance. It's an MR 74 handicap. And just having a look at the betting in this lineup, it's 6 to 1 the field. So it's a wide open contest here. It's a field of 16 runners, no scratchings at this point in time in this race here. 6 to 1 the field. It's a nightmare of race 4, the Pick 6 and Jackpots, where Cosmic Event tops the boards. Graham, what's your take on this race?
Very, very tough. You will see when we get to the end of the show that my suggested bet is Jackpot 2 so that I can avoid race 4. At least Jackpot 2 starts with race 5. This is wide open, as the betting suggested. Last time out, I was very strong and very disappointed with number 13, Street Art. He made a very promising local debut on the 16th of November for Peter Muscat when running second in a Marari. and then he ran a really poor race behind Global Ally last time. I've got to believe he's better than that. He steps up to the 2,000 meters, which was the distance of his last win back on the 2nd of October. But all of that being said, this is very competitive. I'm looking elsewhere, and a horse that continuously finds support and it's spoken about is number 5, Nothing Else Matters. He seems to get lost in the early part of a race, and that was also the case last time out when he was too far back. But perhaps in this sort of a field, he could offer good each way value. But for me, this is a nightmare. My hesitant selection would be first, number 5, Nothing Else Matters. Second, number 13, Street Art. Third selection would be number 15, Cosmic Event. And my fourth selection would be number 6, Twice the Master. 5, 13, 15, 6 would be my short list. But there are many more that have chances.
Yeah, just one more to include into the mix there. I like a bit of number 9, Over to You, from the Candace Bass Robinson yard. An individual that bounced back to some of his better form last time out with a good second behind The Future is Bright. He was 2 lengths off the winner, who was a comfortable winner in that, but I just feel third round after rest, Aldo back aboard, and despite carrying 61.5 kgs on the back, I think he could be competitive from the inform Bass Robinson yard, and he's been priced up at around 7-1 in the market. But a difficult start to Jackpot 1, and Graham escaping Jackpot 1. He's going for Jackpot 2, so we're keen to hear what his numbers are in race number 5, which is going to be around over 1,600 meters, and this is a middle stakes, and you need to get involved in those bets by 3:05 on the afternoon. Prevalent, Champion Warrior, Quasi for sure. Some nice horses on show here, Graham, and Quasi for sure, we all know what the team think of him, the Peter Muscat team, and what a cracking run last time out. I must be honest, I was taken away by that performance because I just thought such a long rest, close to a year off the track. He's not going to be fully wound up, but he ran an absolute cracker in second behind Silvano's Dash. It was a talented sort, and perhaps race fitness just caught him out on the day. He returns 20 days later. How do you think he's going to strip for this run, and have you heard any talk about him over there in the Cape?
Well, he's clearly come through his run very well for him to be running just 3 weeks after that first run, after more than a year off the track through injury. As you said, this is a very strong middle stakes over 1,600 meters. In fact, the racing is so competitive, not because they're all weak, it's because they're all strong. They're bringing a lot of form into their respective races throughout the 8-race program. Quasi for sure is certainly one for the shortlist. He could fall prey to the second run after rest syndrome. He's got 62 to shoulder. He's giving 8 kilograms to prevalence, which may be a tough task for him in his second run after a long rest. But I've narrowed the first leg of Jackpot 2 down to 4 runners, the obvious 4. Numbers 2, Quasi for sure. Number 6, Prevalence. Number 7, Silver Falcon. And number 8, Champion Warrior. Champion Warrior, of course, won his first 2 starts in the manner of a very good horse. He was second last time out at Tuta Fay. That might have been a very good run. He receives 4 kilograms from Quasi for sure. But all 4 of these horses are top quality gallopers. They're very good horses, each and every one of them in their own right. Any one of the 4 can win. At the weights, probably the early favourite, number 6, Prevalence, for the Richard Fareed, Justin Snaith combination. But for me, the jackpot play, first leg of the jackpot play, is to include all of numbers 2, 6, 7 and 8.
Yeah, 2, 6, 7 and 8 for Graham there. Just the scratching here of number 3, Blackberry Mouth, doesn't take his part in the lineup. So it's just a field of 9 runners now at this point in time. And keen to see how number 2, Quasi for sure, does go second run after a rest. As Graham mentioned, he could fall culprit there to that second run after rest, but hopefully for the connections he manages to pull off the job here with 62 kgs on the back. He's a top quality sort, and I think he could win some nice races for the guys as well. But Prevalence with a weight advantage, 54 kgs on the back, he could just be the one that they all have to beat, especially after his last performance where he was doing his best work at the finish, and that was behind Tour Fay, where Champion Warrior was just in front of him. That's race number 5. Now we're going to move along to race number 6, which is a fillies and mares 90 handicap over 1,400 meters. And race 6 goes off at 15:40. Winter Greeting 22 to 10, 4 to 1 about Hunting Trip, Fun Zone at 9 to 2, and then it's 6 to 1 and better about those. Now I'll start with number 1, Winter Greeting, because last time out she was ultra impressive. The way she got the job done, Calvin Habib didn't need to even ask her the question, and she went on to victory, winning by 1.5 lengths, beating Gimme a Light. Apart from Gimme a Light, the rest of the field were well-tried handicapping horses, and those were the only 3-year-olds in the race that went into the race unbeaten. And they they both ran good races, but Winter Greeting was impressive, going up to 6 points for the victory on a mark of 86 now, 53 kgs on the back. What do you make of her chances in this lineup, Graham? Because she must have certainly got you excited last time out after the win. 2 from 2. Can she make it 3 from 3?
Well, clearly the short answer to your question is yes, obviously she can make it 3 from 3. She's got a handy galloping weight. She's drawn in pole position. But, you know, some of these high-felt horses just need their first run down in the Western Cape. We've seen that with a number of other horses that have already had their first outings. How good she really is, that we'll know more about after race 6 tomorrow. But as you say, she was super impressive last time. The saddle slipped, and nonetheless she won comfortably. Just to advise that number 9, Hunting Trip, is a scratching. That makes the task a little bit easier. So number 9, Hunting Trip, is now a scratching. And as a result of that, my early fancy, number 8, Fun Zone, who was you could get 7 to 1 about, and I thought represented good each-way value, is now a firm second choice in the market at 7 to 2. So not that much each-way value anymore. I still think that Fun Zone could overturn the favourite. So I'm taking the favourite on here as far as Jackpot 2 is concerned. I'm including all of numbers 2, What a State, who goes to trip for the first time with 52.5 on her back, drawn in gate number 2. I'm including the ultra-consistent number 7, Treasure Hunt. She doesn't know how to run a bad race. As I said, I quite like number 8, Fun Zone, dropping back from the Cape Fillies Guineas last time to this sort of class. And you can't ignore number 10, Perfect Trust. Now, you'll see at the back end of the show when I go through my jackpot, I didn't include Perfect Trust. I only had the 5 runners, but Hunting Trip is now scratching, so I'm going to include Perfect Trust. So my numbers for the jackpot would be 1, Winter Greeting, 7, Treasure Hunt, 2, What a State, 8, Fun Zone, and 10, Perfect Trust. But yes, no one wants to see good horses getting beat. Winter Greeting is a Gold Rush candidate, which is why she's here. This is an important test for her to get her up and running for the big race, the R7.5 million Gold Rush on World Sports Betting Met Day at the end of January. So they're going to be hoping she runs a real cracker. She's certainly weighted and drawn to run a big race. But I'm just a little concerned that sometimes they just need that first run down here.
Yeah, just be slightly cautious there with number 1, Winter Greeting, but she is certainly the horse that will be looking to make it 3 from 3, and she's going to have every opportunity to get the job done, especially from pole position draw going around the turn over 1400 meters. And Graham could be onto something nice there with number 8, Fun Zone, who does drop in class, and the way she runs, the race could just be run to suit her, because there does seem to be quite a bit of pace in the lineup, and she will be chiming in late on in the day. And she's had 1 run over the course and distance for 1 second, and yeah, she can certainly build on that performance as well. Number 8, Fun Zone, one to keep a close eye on in race number 6. Now we're going to move along to race number 7, the penultimate race on the day. It's a fillies and mares 80 handicap over 1200 meters. 4:15 is the time that race number 7 goes on. Graham, over to you. You tell me you've got a banker in that jackpot, so take it away.
Taking a little bit of a liberty here, Rahil, but I've tipped a very small 60 rand jackpot perm, as you'll see a little later on. Clearly the 2 money spinners are number 5, Hear My Voice, and number 9, Act Naturally. Act Naturally has been priced at 5 to 2. She did disappoint last time. Hear My Voice has won her last 2 starts, 2 of her last 3 starts rather, and in between was a very good 4th behind Veronique, so she has good form. But I'm taking a chance with number 8, Symphony of Light. I like her form coming into the race. She was a good 3rd behind Live My Life last time out. Grant Bird takes the ride for the Dean Canamere stable. Again, I remind everybody that obviously Keegan is absent from Hollywoodbets Kenilworth as a result of a suspension. Around about this time last year, she won back-to-back races. That's when she recorded her 2 victories. Interestingly, both of those were at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, so she's yet to win at Kenilworth. But I just think she's going to run a big race. It's a difficult race, so I am taking a liberty because, you know, many would look at this race and say this is a field race. Because once you start to look beyond Hear My Voice and Act Naturally, then there are many with chances, and the betting suggests that as well. Symphony of Light is currently 7 to 1. She's an attractive each-way play. But I'm going to take my chances in jackpot 2. Make sure I get through legs 1 and 2 at banker number 8, Symphony of Light, in the 3rd leg. She is my top choice.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's got that competitive feel about it. And just 2 horses I'd include here is number 2, Little Miss Pink, and the horse number 10, Louis Diamond. Now, both these horses did run behind Live My Life, and they are held by number 8, Symphony of Light. But I just feel that they are more experience over the course and distance, where Symphony of Light is yet to win over the course and distance, so they could just have that advantage. And as well, Louis Diamond could have just needed that comeback run down in the Cape last time out, 5 lengths off them, 61 kgs on the back, 2-time winner over course and distance. Second run here for Pete Porter, and then a Little Miss Pink, who he's never too far off the action, and she could give a good account of herself in the 7th race on the program. So Graham is with number 8, Symphony of Light, at around 11-2 in the market, and horse numbers 2 and 10 for me, and both trading at around 10-1. Race number 8, the final race on the program. This is the Hollywoodbets Bright Future Classified Stakes over the 1200 meter trip. 16:50 is the time of the final race on the day. And having a look at the fixed odds market for this lineup here, Charlie Malone 2-1, Fly to Rio 6-1, along with Winter Pearl, Captain's Knot, and numbers 8, Cheeky Laddie and Persistence are the scratch-ins in the lineup. So we're reduced to a field of 12. And a horse that catches my eye here, number 2, Fort Red. Now, the last time he won a race, when he notched up his 4th career victory, did come in a similar type of race, in a classified stakes, a D class, with Richard Fourie aboard, and he was on a mark of 70 on that occasion, and he managed to win, beating Miss Greenlight. I just get the feel that at 14-1, he could be worth a little each-way play in the final race on the day. But Graham, what's your thoughts on the final race, and do you have an outright top selection, if not an each-way play?
Yeah, it's a tricky race. As you will see, I've sort of posted 3 numbers into the last leg of Jackpot 2, but I quite like your selection number 2, Fort Red, which I haven't included, and you might persuade me to include it, because as you say, if you go back in the form lines behind Le Morne and Hammy's Hero and King Regent, who runs interestingly in midweek next week, not bad form lines, and certainly this race is ripe for a bit of an upset. But the favourite is number 9, Charlie Malone. He is my top choice. Good post-maiden run, and this race is not going to take a lot of winning. And although he's pretty well exposed, you have to like the fact that he came out after winning his maiden and ran second over this course and distance behind Ensuing, and he was absolutely flying at the finish. But I'm going to cover him with 2 horses. Number 4, Winter Pearl, Ricky Maingard. Nice to see that name in the race cards these days. He's growing a string down here in the Western Cape. He got this horse from Mike de Kock. It races without the blinkers. That is the equipment change. And I think Winter Pearl might have a say in the outcome. Like number 2, Fort Red, is a bit of a roughie. I'm not giving up on number 11, Mr. Frosty, quite yet. I know he ran a little bit disappointingly last time after showing his usual pace. The blinkers go on. That's an equipment change for the 5-year-old Grey Stunner, captain of all. So I'm including certainly number 11, Mr. Frosty, who's also at around 14-1. But I guess Charlie Malone is the one to beat. But that being said, the race is ripe for a bit of an upset.
Graham, this horse number 13, Poltergeist. Now, if I remember correctly, I think Justin Snaith actually fancied his chances last time out when he ran a dismal performance, 19 lengths off them in last position behind Ensuing. Even that penultimate start, disappointing run, but he's got some fair form. And do you think maybe he's a horse that could get involved into it?
Look, he's certainly got the ability, but the last 2 runs tell me there's something absolutely wrong with him. You can't run that badly and be okay. 17th of 17, 12 legs behind King Regent, and then 15th of 15. So he's run absolutely stone last in his last 2 runs. Now, we all know that he's a lot better than that. His previous form tells you he's a lot better than that. But how do we know what Poltergeist is going to turn up? Because there's, to my way of thinking, there's clearly something wrong with him, but clearly they haven't been able to find anything wrong with him, and they're running him again. So I guess Justin is also pulling his hair out. Yeah, absolutely. So keen to see our number 13, Poltergeist. Poltergeist does go in the final race on the program. Another race that does have that competitive feel about it, and number 9, Charlie Malone, the one that they possibly have to beat. But Graham mentioning that he's not going to give up on number 11, Mr. Frosty, just yet for Paul Reeves and Devon Ashby, and number 2, Fort Red, one to include into the mix as well. Now we're going to move along to the suggested bet, and Graham's going to take us through his suggested bet, which is Jackpot 2, and he's got an each-way play for us. So Graham, take it away. All right, so Jackpot 2 starts with race 5. It's an 8-race program. I'm going 2, 6, 7, and 8 in the first leg. That's Quasi for sure, Prevalent, Silver Falcon, Champion, Warrior. Then I'm going 5 horses in the next leg, race 6. I'm taking on the favourite from the Highveld, Sean Terry's number 1, Winter Greeting. I'm taking her on. She might well be good enough, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going with numbers 1, Winter Greeting, 2, What a State, 7, Treasure Hunt, 8, Fun Zone. I know my perm includes number 9, Hunting Trip, which is now a scratching. You can leave that in case the favourite wins, but also add in number 10, Perfect Trust. I'm then banking number 8, Symphony of Light. I'm taking a bit of a chance in the third leg with a small permutation. And then the last leg, numbers 4, 9, and 11, Winter Pearl, Charlie Malone, and Mr. Frosty. But you've persuaded me. I must say you've persuaded me. I'm going to add in number 2, Fort Red as well. Just to have 2 roughies going for me in the last leg if I do get all the way through, and Symphony of Light does deliver in the third leg. And then my each-way play was number 8, Fun Zone, in race 6. The race where Winter Greeting runs. Now, Fun Zone was 7-1 at the time that I made that selection because Hunting Trip was still in the lineup and was, in fact, second favourite. Now, of course, with Hunting Trip scratching, Fun Zone has been short quite dramatically. Doesn't appeal so much as an each-way bet, but I do fancy her to run a very big race.
Yeah, you're certainly going to want a bit of cover, especially if Symphony of Light does manage to get the job done in the third leg, because you could be looking for a decent payout in that jackpot too. Graham, thanks for joining us and thanks for giving us your insight into this card over at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Saturday. Just quickly before we say goodbye, looking forward to next weekend over at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, King's Plate Day.
What a day. What a day it's going to be. Not a day I'd miss for anything in the world. So really looking forward to it. And we'll chat more, obviously, throughout next week about the 2023 renewal of the King's Plate over 1,600 metres. But what a race it's going to be.
Charles Dickens, Jet Dark, who's it going to be for you?
I'm not answering that question quite yet.
Come on.
You'll have to wait for next week.
Come on, surely there's a horse that you're strong on, surely.
Well, you have to be in the camp of Charles Dickens. I mean, the way he won the Guineas was just, I mean, the last time I saw a horse win like that was when I saw Horse Chestnut win his Guineas. And as he was winning the race, I couldn't but help but think of Horse Chestnut. I mean, he absolutely blew them away. But, you know, Jet Dark commented doing these high-class thoroughbreds in their own right. Horse of the Year, multiple Group 1 winners. He's going to be... But you have to be in the camp of Charles Dickens.
Absolutely. Both horses are looking to make a bit of history in that King's Plate, Charles Dickens and Jet Dark. But we'll wait and see how it all plans out at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on the 7th of January. But Graham, thanks for joining us for this Gallop TV show and all the best. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy your New Year's Eve, New Year celebration.
Thank you. Yes, and to all of our racing fans and to you and to your family and all of our colleagues, Happy New Year. May it be a good weekend and may 2023 be a lot better than 2022.
Absolutely. Happy New Year's to all the viewers and hopefully you have lots of fun over the weekend and make a bit of cash. Hopefully Graham and myself managed to guide you in the right direction for 8 races on the program at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. All the best going forward and happy punting.